obviously has been a good week for the people in Southeast Asia's tech ecosystem.
Hi everyone, this is episode 98 of the Impulso podcast. And this week, Q3 results for both C Group and Grab were recently released, right? And both of them did pretty well. Share price rose about 10%, and we published for both companies, yes. And we published a commentary on the lowdown covering 8 key pointers from both their earnings, right? So if you guys are interested, that will be linked in the show notes down below. But we thought that there were a couple of pointers that we wanted to go more in depth on, which was one, of course, Shopee Express, which is the logistic arm of Shopee, as well as the digital financial services of both C Group and Grab, which we will probably cover in another episode.
And of course, headquarters of both companies are within like 500 meters from where we are.
Yes.
I think one of them is right opposite. Anyways, so obviously has been a good week for the people in Southeast Asia's tech ecosystem. I have 2 lunch appointments next week with people from both companies respectively. And the previous agreement is that I will buy lunch. But I think now it has turned around.
They're going to buy you lunch.
Yeah. And somebody said, okay, I'm going to buy a full course and plus a chicken leg. I said, why chicken leg?
Yeah, why chicken leg?
It's bonus.
So good results for them, right? So one of the things that we mentioned in the commentary was obviously about Shopee Express. And you commented that investment in its in-house logistic arm, Shopee Express, seems to be paying off for C Group itself. And that Shopee Express actual parcel volume is already on par with that of J&T Express. So what makes you say this?
Phyllis, if you can pull out the slides about J&T's results.
Pretty likely, right? That it's
pretty
Shopee.
clear. There's a company B, which is like 1/3 of company A's market share.
So this is in H1 2024, but based on the results from Q3 C Group, you said that they're probably on par now.
It's possible because if you look at the first half of the year, J&T probably did about 11 million parcels a day, and Shopee's in-house logistics was probably doing about 10. Phyllis, if you can move to the slide from the Shopee's results about the gross order, right? So in the first half of the year, and of course you guys know that the J&T Express is a logistic company that started in Indonesia, expanded across Southeast Asia, went into China, and now is also active in markets like the Middle East as well as Latin America. There are rumors that the J&T Express is going to Europe as well. So this is a very aggressive company, successful one, and over many years, it has been the largest e-commerce logistic company in Southeast Asia. So if you look at this chart, so J&T reported a market share of 27.4%, and they mentioned about company A, which has 24.3% market share, which is, I think in terms of volume, about 90% of J&T. So, and obviously they didn't mention who this company A is. They only said the company is e-commerce in-house logistics.
So it's
yes. So you can see that Shopee's GMV grew, but their gross order volume from the first half of the year to the third quarter grew more than 10% to 2.8 billion.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, the gross orders do not necessarily mean parcels. There could be exceptions, right? I mean, there could be orders which were cancelled before a parcel is sent out. There could be an order which, for whatever reason, the consumer didn't pay, so no parcel is sent.
There could be virtual orders as well. So for example, when you order an eSIM, it's also an order, but they don't actually have to send you any parcel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think some of the other e-commerce platforms depend largely on sort of these virtual items which no parcels are sent. So historically, when people compare the GMV of e-commerce platforms and the parcel volume, and sometimes you see a disconnect. I think one main culprit was Tokopedia. So for a long time, investors couldn't make sense. Okay, the GMV is growing, parcel volume is not growing. What's happening?
What were they selling?
Cars.
Oh. Okay.
And of course,
Yeah.
you don't put cars into a parcel and then deliver to the consumer.
That's true. I guess these are things that you wouldn't really realize unless you know what's happening on the ground, right? If you just look at the financials, oftentimes it doesn't tell you.
Yeah. But I think we can do some approximation, assuming that the conversion rate you show from gross orders to number of parcels is relatively consistent. So if the gross orders grew by 10%, I think the parcel volume should roughly grow with a similar ratio. And we know that almost all the growth in parcels are sent by Shopee Express. So I think they put a cap on how much they allocate to third-party logistic providers. So if Shopee's parcel volume grew by 10%, I think J&T, we looked at their Q3, I think J&T did about 12.1 million parcels. That's like 7% growth from Q2.
Q2 or from H1?
I think Q1 and Q2 are roughly the same.
Okay.
So if you do that comparison, you would see that Shopee Express or SPX Express probably catch up very, very fast. And we should also not discount the fact that when people mention about their market share, they might deliberately put their market share to be a bit higher. I mean, different sort of ways of actually doing the statistics.
I think another thing that we have also seen from the H1 interim report is that their revenue per parcel seems to be on a downward trend, right? So it's about 74 cents now. So what does this actually mean for Shopee as well as other players in the logistics scene? Because J&T is a pretty good benchmark, right? Like you said, they're one of the biggest logistic players. And if they're...
They have been the biggest, right?
Yeah. And their revenue per parcel has been going down.
So if you look at the chart that Felix just showed, it's pretty consistent trend, right? So since 2022, where they used to charge like $0.97 dollar per parcel to 0.74, that's like 25% drop. Of course, for them, they are saying that, okay, we're not worried because the cost is also dropping accordingly. So the cost per parcel used to be $0.79 and now it's like 60 cents. So I think the profitability is roughly the same, right? Actually, probably increased a little bit. That shows, the nature of e-commerce logistics as a game. Especially in this part of the world, where I think there's a concentration of the cargo owners, right? If you look at the number of platforms in Southeast Asia, and the largest one, Shopee, Lazada, TikTok Shop, and now Temu, and the others are pretty small. So you do have e-commerce logistic players who have to play with this very limited set of e-commerce platforms, which give them most of the business. So of course the negotiation power is kind of different. We see J&T is still growing, and I do think that a large part of that growth is tied to TikTok Shop. And Q4, Temu came into the market in Vietnam quite aggressively. We know that they have been working with SPX Express and Ninja Van for their first launch, but I do think that as they grow in size, I think lots of these orders would go to J&T because J&T has the infrastructure and capabilities to handle large order volume.
But what does this mean for Shopee specifically? So for example, if I'm an e-commerce platform who runs my own logistics, is it a good thing that the revenue for external logistic players is going down?
Of course, because I still use the external, right? Because if I am Shopee, I'm not going to have the capacity for all my volume. I would want to. I don't know. Do you order a lot from e-commerce?
I do. I just ordered like 3 things from Shopee. But Shopee Express is really pretty fast now, I feel.
They have that. Did you use the guaranteed the next day delivery thing? Or
I didn't use the guaranteed next. So I bought from Shopee for quite a while now. Delivery used to take about a week, maybe longer. Now it takes about 2 to 3 days. I just ordered something we're filming this on Thursday. I ordered something on Tuesday and it arrived yesterday.
Okay, that's next day.
Yeah, and I didn't use like next day delivery or anything. I just normal doorstep.
Did you notice which logistic company sent that parcel?
Shopee Express. So they have the sticker, So I was like, oh, it's so fast now.
So one thing I've noticed over the last year, and I think logic will be pretty obvious to anyone, is the regular items is typically sent by Shopee Express. And all the weird items are sent by other logistic platforms.
What is a weird item? Like odd shaped or like heavy items?
Like we order like 12 kilograms of cat litter. That's typically not sent by Shopee Express, but by somebody else. The heavy ones, the odd shaped ones, etc., etc. So obviously, when J&T drives the price down, whether this is driver or Shopee, which one's the cause, which one's the effect? The reality is that the cost for logistics in the whole region is down. And obviously, that will give the platform more leeway to increase the orders and actually to grow. So I would think there's a positive thing. But I do think that for other logistic providers, it becomes a tougher game to compete, especially when you don't have the width and the infrastructure as well as the operational efficiency that J&T has.
Something I want to bring us back to, something we talk about a lot when we mention Shopee is always Shopee's moat, right? Previously, when we were talking about TikTok Shop entering the region and now Temu, something we discussed was what actually is Shopee's moat and how are they defending against these competitors. So now it seems that Shopee Express is a pretty good moat for them.
The thought about moat is always like something that is there, but something that, if a competitor or if attacker is determined enough, they will try to, I don't know, find ways to either, put a bridge on it, like however temporary it is, or swim over or whatever. So from the defender point of view, I don't think the moat is ever permanent. So you need to constantly
deepen the moat.
Deepen the moat.
Or build different moats.
So actually, my hometown back in China, Nantong, that has probably one of the widest moat.
Oh, an actual moat.
Historically, the city is in the middle, and they build a moat. And historically, they've been digging it to be wider. I think at some point in time, it's almost like a kilometer wide.
What are they building the moat for?
For defense. Oh. And now it's a very nice park where you can stroll around and row a boat and stuff. But in the past, it was purely for defense, right?
But that's the thing about a moat. Is once your competitor finds a way, then you build a bigger moat, build a deeper moat.
Yes, so it's a race, right? I think for a defender's job, so for Shopee, or I think as a matter of fact for Grab or for whoever who's in this region, their job is to constantly dig the moat to be deeper, to be wider, so that it becomes harder and harder for the competitor to come. And hopefully, at one point in time, the competitor will find and say, hey, it's too difficult to attack this moat, let's go somewhere else. If you look at history, there's lots of these examples, right? The Mongols, the Huns, they come to a city. This city is, the moat is too wide, the defender is too strong, it's very hard to attack. Let's go somewhere else. The world is big enough, right?
Coming back to Shopee Express.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. Another thing that I've also noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, but near our office, they actually have these Shopee Express lockers now. So it's located in Fusionopolis, which I guess is pretty near where C Group has office around there, right? So they have these sort of lockers. So it's kind of like the pick up and go lockers where they can put your Shopee parcels in and then you can just collect it as and when. But we did a little research and there's only 2 of them in Singapore. So do you think this is something that Shopee Express is going to expand further into? And if they do, what are the benefits of having this locker as compared to the hundreds of pickup points that they already have?
I think a couple of things. So first, lockers for e-commerce parcels are not a new thing, right? So in China, there's this company called Hivebox, which was established by SPX Express, and they built lockers across apartment blocks, across office buildings, and they have been profitable. No, they actually just turned profitable. And historically, people were skeptical about them because I think the thing about lockers is that you need, the unit economics is pretty easy to calculate, right? You need a certain usage, and people paying a certain fee per usage to make it profitable. So historically it was difficult because there are other options, right? You could go to the convenience store in the community, you could go to the security guard in the housing complex. So there are many ways for last mile delivery. Hyperbox actually found a use case. The company just filed for IPO, so we can read their prospectus. They found one use case, which is returns.
Oh.
Because returns are a bit more difficult to manage, right? Compared to one-way sort of delivery. So the consumers will put that in a box, and deliverer will find it very easy to actually click that. I think remember we mentioned that for some of the categories in China, the return rate can be like 90%.
90%, yeah.
So that's lots of parcels to be stored somewhere for someone to pick up, and the reverse is always more sort of spread out and difficult to control. So they found that use case.
And reverse logistics is actually pretty important because it lowers the barrier for a lot of people to purchase stuff online as well, right? If I can easily return it and just get a refund.
Yeah, if you can easily return, and also as we mentioned, the cost of logistics is going down. So that also makes it easier for platform to allow you to
return it. Yeah, that's true because sometimes I don't bother returning things because I just think the cost is not worth it. But like when I was shopping in China, it's very easy to just return something.
And did you realize that people have no remorse? I think I spoke with lots of consumers, they feel a bit guilty, like returning things. And in China, it's like, okay, well,
I'll just return it.
Just return it.
But I guess it's different as well. So in China, reverse logistics has probably been there for a while. So the sellers also have already kind of taken this into consideration when they're planning their inventory, right? I think in Southeast Asia, it's not there yet. So maybe in the next few years, this is something that we'll see. And that's something that I guess the Shopee X lockers would be good for as well.
And wouldn't it be nice that if you want to buy something, but if you're not sure whether you want to buy it, and you get someone to send it over, and you check whether you actually like it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you return it.
It's efficient. For example, if you buy shoes, you can buy like 4 pairs of shoes. and then try on every size and then just return the
And
rest.
see which color you like the most.
Yeah,
right?
that you don't like. Yeah. So
I do think these kind of lockers are a attempt to make the logistics easier, right? So obviously compared to the pickup points, I think in Singapore we have lots of pickup points.
we have lots of pickup points, but they're not. I would say this. Okay, maybe it's Singapore, nobody really cares, but the security isn't there. So a lot of them are just like small corner shops near housing estates where they'll just put your parcels on like a shelf and you literally just go there and then you match your name or your number and then you just take the parcel and go. Nobody checks. You don't have to sign anything. You can steal someone else's parcel.
Have you stolen someone else's parcel?
No, but when I go, I feel like someone can steal my parcel. If I wanted to steal someone's parcel, it would be pretty easy.
But this, I don't know. I mean, you go to China, right? You look at the office buildings, and there's just a table, right? All the parcels are there, and whoever will just.
Nobody bothers to steal. So that's the thing. Is obviously in countries like this, nobody bothers to steal it.
Is that because the?
I don't know why.
Yeah, but you've been to a sorting center. You see the amount of parcels that.
Yes.
And each parcel is probably not worth much.
That's true.
Or the hassle of like stealing that. I mean.
But that's true. You don't really know what you're stealing either. If the parcel is so small.
Think about that. If you're a thief, you want to put your time more. I mean,
into things that are more worth. Yeah. Okay, we don't need to debate what.
Think of thieves as rational business persons, and they will obviously gravitate towards things which have better ROI for them.
So I think that's all
Most of them are
for.
businessmen.
Yeah, that's all for today's episode. We hope you guys enjoyed this deeper dive into the sort of logistics of Shopee. And if you guys are curious about their earnings, there are a lot of reports out there by financial analysts who go deeper into the numbers.
Pretty good analysis that will tell you about everything, right?
Yes. Yeah. And we also have a commentary on our blog where we highlight a couple of pointers. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you do like and subscribe, as well as share these videos with your friends if you found it helpful or interesting.
So this is episode 98.
This is episode 98.
And the next one will be 99.
99.
And the following will be 100.
100.
Which one's more auspicious?
99.
Why?
Because I'm born in 1999.
Oh. Someone just revealed her age.
Yeah.
Did you notice? Sorry, back to the discount narrative.
They always use 99 or 98.
Yes.
They won't use 1.
I think in certain contexts you will always use 99.
Yeah.
In some other contexts you always use 98. In certain other contexts you use 95. Like 23.95.
Oh. I'm sure there's a reason for that.
I think it's cultural.
Yeah.
I think it's cultural. So
Yeah.
for instance, in China, you will not see anything with .99.
99.
You
98.
always, no, it's always 98 because 8 is auspicious,
It is auspicious,
right?
yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy.